to promote safety and enhance the quality of life by serving with professionalism, encouraging open communication, and embracing diversity.
Engaged.
Partnering with our citizens and involved in our community.
Progressive.
Embracing innovative strategies while maintaining proven practices.
Dedicated.
Serving with integrity and professionalism. Elgin became an incorporated city in 1854 and installed its first police marshal, George W. Renwick. Over the years, the title of the head law enforcement officer changed from marshal to chief. And although the role has expanded, one duty has remained consistent: to ensure law and order for the citizens of Elgin.
It's time now for Fridays with the Finest, featuring Elgin's current police chief, Anna Lally, on Elgin's hometown radio station since 1949, WRMN AM 1410 and 96.7 FM.
All right, welcome in, folks, to Fridays with the Finest here on WRMN AM 1410. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in today on a beautiful, sunny Friday morning. Yes, happy Friday, everyone. We hope that you are enjoying the rest of this week as we get closer into the weekend. We want to thank, of course, everyone for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Thank you to Chief Anna Lally for being here again today, of course. How are you today?
Good.
I'm doing good. Oh, let me make sure I get your mic up here. There we go. Okay.
Good. I'm doing well. Thank you very much. So this morning, it's a beautiful day, beautiful Friday morning. I'm going to be joined here. Well, one officer, he's just coming in. So Detective Brian Powell, I think he's coming in through the other door, but I'm here with Detective Josh Miller. And so there he is. Yes, he's going to hop on right with us now. We're live, so he's going to join me here. So one thing before we get started with the show is Brian and Josh are here to talk a little bit about Special Olympics. So we are Cop on Top is today. So if you're driving by any Dunkin' locations, there's 4 in Elgin, where you will see Elgin police officers, volunteers. We are raising money for Special Olympics. The Elgin Police Department has been doing this for over 30 years. But I will tell you, over the past probably 5-6 years since, Josh kind of started taking it, leading it with Brian, and he's got a core group. They have just done an exceptional job. So I'll really leave it to you guys if you want to just kind of promote what's going on this morning and give a little information for the listeners.
Sure. Thanks, Chief. Appreciate it. So this is we've slowly been adding locations. The location that Detective Powell's at now was kind of the core one that we've always been at. It was that single one, and we started adding more and more. So this year, finally, we have 4 different locations. So they've been going well. I just stopped over at Larkin. It's a good time over there. So I just want to say thank you to everybody that stepped up today, from our special investigations group to supervisors that have stopped out, the other officers, CP AAA, and the Explorers. We couldn't run all these different locations without all the help from everyone. So I just want to say thanks to everybody for stepping out and coming out for this.
Yeah, it does mean a lot, especially when you get to see where all the money goes to the athletes, to the entire Olympic organization. It's really for a great cause. And like Officer Miller said, right now we have 4 Dunkin' Donuts that are participating. I was told there are 9 total in Elgin, so if you're not participating yet, we'll definitely be reaching out for you to expand even further.
Yeah, so the Special Olympics fundraising takes place pretty much throughout the year, but the signature events are Cop on Top, and then the Polar Plunge, and then Torch Run. So when you see the officers, so they're, the Cop on Top, the whole premise is that an officer is on top of the roof. Mm-hmm. Some of the roofs are a little bit, we'll just say, they're okay, but, it's a little shaky. And if you're afraid of heights, but nonetheless, someone will go up there. And then we'll have officers in the drive-through. And if you donate a certain amount of money, what happens? How much money do you donate to get a cup, a mug, a donut?
Mugs, I believe, are $10. Shirts are $20. Hats are $15. They're going quick, though, so it's, we'll be selling them until they're all out. We have the SWAT truck out at the Clock Tower location. If people want to come out and see it, hop on it. It's brand new. It's awesome. So definitely come on out and take a look.
Yeah, so Josh, just last year, how much money did the Elgin Police Department raise for Special Olympics?
I think we were at like 26,000, and that was between 26 to 27,000, and that was between the polar plunge, and which we just wrapped up a couple months ago, and then the Cop on Top thing, along with selling T-shirts and whatnot. So I think the Cop on Top event was around 8,000 last year. So hopefully around noon today, once we wrap up, we'll go to the bank, count everything up, and see. Hopefully break that record from last year.
And you know what's interesting too? So $26,000 last year, and that's all. You know, we want to say thank you to the Elgin community and everyone that donates. You know, that money goes towards sports events and the Olympics and all these programs that are maintained through Special Olympics throughout the year. So, and those programs couldn't happen without the support of the law enforcement community. So, I could tell you that number every year when I ask them because long time ago. You know, the goal was to get on the back of the T-shirt. So if you see the shirt, it will tell you who the top people are who have, had funds raised. And the goal was $10,000 to always get in the back of the shirt. And, at one point myself and then Detective Tom Wolick, we were, running Special Olympics, and we did it for probably about 8-9 years. And every year we're like, we got to get on that shirt. We never got on the shirt, right? Because we would maybe get $5,000-$6,000 throughout the year. And then, eventually you have to, pass the torch on to the next group. And so that was Josh and his group of people. And I think it took him like the first year, and I think he reached the 10,000, or it was like this. And I was like, okay, well, great. That's awesome, right? So it's just, I really appreciate what you guys do because it's a lot. You guys get up early, you get set up, you're doing things throughout here. And then the probably the hardest part, as I remember, is telling your peers, come on, I need your help. Come on, I need your help, right? And they do, right? So thank you to all the officers. I was out at 3 of the locations this morning. They do a great job. So if you're out there, say hi to the officers, donate to a great cause. This is the fun part of our job. So anything else that you guys want to talk about? Any events coming up, Special Olympics, how anyone can donate maybe online or anything else?
Sure. So, the fundraising goes throughout the entire year. These are just main events that, generate the most. But I'm going to try and get more shirts. So if I can get more shirts, the Torch Run shirt changes each year. Anyone can message the police department. So if you'd like to donate or, purchase a shirt or hat or anything after that, send a message to the police department either through Facebook or email or whatever. It'll eventually get to me, and we can continue going throughout the year. And then we've also talked about potentially hosting one of our own events. We did a Culver's event, where the Culver's donates a portion of the sales on top of selling shirts and whatnot. That went real well. So we'd like to. You can basically come up with whatever kind of events you want. So we had talked about it. Eventually, we want to try and get something maybe towards the end of the summer, pairing with another restaurant or doing another event to just continue to increase that money.
Yeah, if there are any restaurants out there that want to, please let us know. We'll definitely look forward to working with you.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you guys for coming in. I know you guys are at each at a location, so I appreciate what you guys do. Thank you. And, again, if anybody wants to donate, stop by. You can get a hold of us on our Facebook. You can private message us, or you can just send me an email, lally_a@cityofelgin.org. It'll get to me, and then I will make sure it gets to these guys. So thank you guys.
Sounds good. Thanks, Chief.
You guys have a great day.
so much.
Yep.
Take care.
I just wanted them to come in and just talk a little bit about Special Olympics. They do, again, an exceptional job. It's a lot of work to, you have to get up, you have to get the location set up. You're out there asking people for money, which sometimes, it's but people, when they realize like what they're doing, so people, what are you guys doing? Right? We're Special Olympics, and they're like, okay, right? So, so it's really great. It's a great event, and again, I want to say thank you to all the officers and to the Elgin community because they absolutely show up. I mean, people show up and they're not donating $1. They're dropping 5s, 10s, 20s. And, on rare occasions, we've had people drop $100 in the bucket. So,
Wow,
and then we have some donors that do come by and, they'll give us $500. And, it's so, the generosity of the community does not go unnoticed. And so when you meet some of the athletes too, I've had the pleasure of meeting some of the athletes, and it's amazing, So I think this is, again, when we do this kind of stuff and it humanizes our profession, and then you have really great people like Josh and Brian who are really doing it for the right reasons, a lot of great stuff can happen.
Absolutely. And it's great, too, because especially, the summer season is coming up soon. It gets a little bit busier. Would you say that these events tend to fill up even more during when it's nicer,
Oh, yeah. I mean, I can remember there were times, when myself and he's retired now, Tom Wolick, but we took Special Olympics from a detective. His name was Brian Gorkowski, and he was, it was a lot. You trying to get people and trying to do this stuff. So Tom and I kind of stepped in, and we did it for probably about 10 years with each other. And there were days where we woke up and it was, it's raining. I mean, it's May or it's cold, and you still have to go out there and still fundraise. So, and again, people come out, but I think when the weather is nice, it's just it's a different it's a different feeling, right? So.
Yep.
People are more, I think, generous when the weather is nice too, right? Because the sun will make you happy instead of, the rain or whatever. There was one year it was snowing. I mean, it's just, so I think definitely, as we kick off into our summer months, we do the polar plunge, which is usually January or February. Then we do Cop on Top. And then throughout the year, as these guys mentioned, there's smaller events, but these are definitely our signature events. So
Very good. Awesome.
So a couple of things I want to talk about. So we did have some things happen throughout the week. I want to touch on them, but I want to hit a few things. First, yesterday we had our police memorial ceremony. You were there. Thank you for being there. WRMN, always supportive. Dean was there, so thank you guys. And that's the first year that we did that event inside. So we've always done that outside. And so most of the time it was in front of the police station. Last year we moved it to the courtyard by the Hemmons. And then in the morning yesterday, I looked at my phone and I was like, okay, it's one app said 20% rain, one said 40, one said tornadoes happening, right?
So you weren't quite sure.
No. Plus it was hot. So I think when we, and again, that's the planning with special events. If you call it too soon, and then it's really nice out, people are like, why are we doing this, inside? But I think yesterday it worked in our favor. And I think it was a little bit more. I think we might transition to inside the Hemmons. I just thought it was a little different. People could hear. A lot of times when we're outside, people can't hear. It's windy. Right. It's hot. The sun's beating down. So thank you for everyone that showed up, our community members, WRMN, council members, city manager's office, city manager Colesville to support. This 1 week, we really do take the time to honor officers who have lost their lives in the line of duty. And then to also, celebrate the officers that are working and, say thank you to the retired officers. So thank you, everyone. So that kind of ends our week here, tops our week with Law Enforcement Week. So I wanted to mention that. Also, our last walk and talk will take place on May 27th at 9 a.m. You'll see us in the area of Mosley and Gertrude. This is... During the summer months, we do our walk and talks, and you'll see officers out in different areas. We start the year off in January, February, March with our business chat. So we go indoors and we talk to business, and we've been doing that for about 5 years. The walk and talks, we go through different neighborhoods throughout Elgin. We've been doing this for probably 13 years. Okay. So going to different neighborhoods, knock on doors, ask people, how's it going? What do you need? Are there any issues? The first couple of years we did it, people were a little nervous, like, why are the police knocking at my door? Why are all these officers here? So now I think the community just expects it. Oh, yeah, they're doing their walk and talk. So our last one is May 27th, 9 a.m. in the area of Mosley and Gertrude. And again, as we transition into June, July, August, this is where we start getting really busy with special events. So, I think the next May, we have the 4th of July coming up. Yeah. And then obviously, we have the end of summer bash, and then obviously in October, we get a little bit between August, September, we get a little break, and then Nightmare, and then things quiet down until usually this time. So, I also want to mention our podcast. So we released the last episode, which, again, thank you to WRMN for, helping us with that podcast. I have gotten a lot of questions over the past week. When are you guys releasing the next case? When are you releasing the next case? So our detectives were in a conference this week. They were at a cold case conference. They are coming back next week. I think they're finalizing their case. So I'll be meeting with them in the next couple of weeks here to kind of, figure out what's the case that we're going to do. I know they were thinking of doing a homicide case as opposed to a missing case. So I'm going to say within maybe the next month here, we're going to be releasing that second season of Somebody Knows Something. So if anyone listened to the last episode, the season episode 10 with Karen's family, I thought it was just a very fitting ending to what a unbelievable thing that happened.
Yeah.
So
It was good to hear the memorial service.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So I was there, at the service, and it was me and one of the sergeants in our investigative units, and obviously Andrew and Matt, and then my husband played the bagpipes, which I think they put that in the podcast, and it was just I think when you sit there and you realize when you hear the family now, and obviously we've had conversations with them throughout the time too, but when you hear, as time has passed and there's some again, I you can never tell people, well, they have closure now, right? Like their closure is relative to what they need, but
Right.
at least they have an answer. I think is the better way to say it. And so when you kind of listen to some of the things that they were saying on that podcast, and how it's just an unbelievable thing to be able to do for a family that police officers, this is why you become a police officer. This is it, right? Like this is, and yes, there's a lot of ups and downs with our profession, and there's a lot of things that you have to deal with. And, sometimes people are not at their best when they're talking with you. And, but that's all part of the job, right? But when you're able to do something like this, and then you hear in the voices and in their statements and the things that they're saying, what this meant to that family, it's that the gift that they have given us, that, we can never repay them for, right? It was a privilege and an honor to do that. To be able to sit down with a family and say, this is, and again, they had a bad experience with the police, many years ago. And, when I hear things like that, and, that is now my responsibility, to change that narrative, as long as I'm the police chief. And that's kind of been my kind of thought the whole time is, these things that have happened in the past, and you can't blame other people, and you can't, complain. And, people quite frequently will say, well, that was this person's problem. It wasn't me. That's the famous line. It wasn't me. Right.
Right.
And to me, there's no point in going back and rehashing and rethinking and all this negativity. It's just like, okay, that is what it is. There's nothing that we can change, but what are we doing now? Right.
Exactly.
So when you realize your responsibility to change that narrative, to be responsible to a community, to, set a better future for the next generation of law enforcement officers, this job becomes very easy, because every time you're doing something or you're making a decision, it's grounded in, is it best for the organization and is it best for the community?
Exactly.
So what a gift to be able to do that. Their family is just amazing, very gracious. I can't say enough great things about Andrew and Matt. Their lives are forever changed. I mean, even you guys, being part of that, and I'm sure you guys have gotten a lot of attention being, who is this WRMN and how'd they do this podcast?
Yeah, I would definitely say so. We try not to make it so, we wanted to keep it to, more towards the story,
Sure.
the medium that's being used. But, this is about Karen and her family and discovering her, which I'm glad, we look at, what had happened in the past and sort of some shortfalls and things, but we look to think of it. I look at it as, I'm glad that we at least did something now,
Yes.
rather than continue to just ignore it.
Yes.
Or I think of too, that we didn't have as much of the technology back in the day
Yeah.
and things like that as well. So
Yeah, no, and it's funny too, because when I hear about the whole the starting of the podcast, and that very organic conversation with Matt and Andrew that happened, and they did look at me like, what is she talk like? What? Because they're not, when you tell somebody it's very hard for people, I think, a lot of times, unless you do it, right? You probably don't have a problem public speaking, because look what you do, right? You are on the radio show. There is no filter. You say something, and if it's the wrong thing, that now lives, in history.
Yeah.
Right now, you could try to erase it, but somebody might be recording it. So, that pressure of this is not, you can't keep retaking it. So I think the public speaking part sometimes is very nerve wracking to people, because your voice is now being heard, your thoughts. And so I think that, a lot of our detectives and our officers, we do have some outliers that they're very, they're, I would say, extroverted, right? But a lot of officers are, more reserved and more, and not necessarily a bad thing, right? They're just, they're here to do the job and to work and quietly behind the scenes. And so when the nature of my position is different, right? I'm in the public, I'm speaking, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. So when I say to someone, okay, just come on, get on the radio show, I'm coming from the perspective of, well, I'm on the radio show every Friday. Like, come on, and then I have to take a step back and realize, okay, well, wait a minute. This is not as, simple for them as it is for me. People are nervous. And they do a great job. They come on and I always tell them, I told you, like, you guys do great.
Well, sometimes I get nervous too. It happens.
Yeah.
So depending, but yeah.
For me, when I was telling Matt and Andrew, I was just like, okay, yeah, of course you guys can do this. Like, to me, it was never a thing. I'm like, yeah, you guys are great. Like, just, so that's the confidence I have in them. And that's the, support that I want to show them. So I think that everybody who had some part of that case, I mean, anything, and that circle gets smaller and smaller, obviously, as you narrow down what actually happened. But anyone that had something to do with it, I think that is a moment in time that they will never forget in their career.
Oh yes, absolutely. I know for me too.
Yeah, and it's a great thing. So, I listened to the podcast over the weekend, and then we released it on Monday. And I told those guys, all right, let's go on to the next, right? Like so. Anyhow, so that I've been asked a lot this week about when is it coming? So I would say give us a month, maybe. If those guys are listening, they're gonna be like, oh my God, a month. So I have to talk with them. Obviously, it's up to them when they're ready. But we know that there's a interest, and this is where you kind of have to. The interest is one thing. It's the what's coming from the interest, right? The byproduct of the interest, which is getting leads, getting tips, getting people kind of thinking, so, and then ultimately, our hope is solve a case. So,
right. Exactly.
All right. So there were three things. I have a few minutes here. I want to talk about three things that happened this week. Again, I want to just stress a few things. So the first thing was we had a fatal traffic crash that happened on May 12th. So that would have been Tuesday, I guess, right? If today's the 16th?
May 12th. Monday.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that was at Randall and South. So I want to also just mention too, when we have a large police presence or traffic or road is closed, we'll say that when it's a traffic crash, right? There's a traffic crash, the roads are closed. That time of the day, it was about 2:30 in the afternoon. Randall Road is always just constant traffic, right? I avoid Randall Road. Like if I can, it's just, it's a lot. So. But eventually, we will release, that it is a fatal traffic crash. But before that happens, and I've mentioned on the show a lot of times, that pause, we're not going to instantaneously go on there and say this is a fatal, right? So the reason for that is because family members have not been notified.
Right. There's
still an ongoing investigation. We have to make sure that what we're saying is accurate. But most importantly, it's because the family has not been notified. And, so I have seen instances where, people are driving by a traffic crash and they take a picture of the car and they post it. And now eventually that person ends up as a fatality. And, can you imagine that's how you find out your friend or family member passed away? So, so this is why I always tell people, caution people, when you see a large police activity, be cautious about what you do post on social media. I mean, you can do whatever you want to do. We're public servants. You can take pictures. You can do, but there is a little bit of a human element that sometimes I don't think people think about. So,
I agree, yeah.
You have to be sensitive to that. And, and I've said on the show many times, I will take all the heat in the world and people complaining and, about why doesn't she do that? Why doesn't she tell us? I will take all that heat in the world to buffer the family. Right, because they deserve the respect for us to come and tell them. They also, they deserve the time to grieve. They deserve to process. When somebody shows up at your house and says, your family member was just killed, however it is. I've done that in my career, death notifications. We usually try to take a chaplain with us, or if there's a family member but that's not easy. I mean, that's a very difficult thing. And I've seen all different types of reactions. People just like blank stare at you. People scream, people cry, people are some people are very nonchalant about it because they can't even process what you're saying.
Yeah.
So that's why we waited again, just for in the future, The information will eventually come out, but there is a little bit of a give time there. And then we had 2 incidents that happened of shots fired. So year to date, we are at 11 incidents of shots fired. This time last year, we were at 28. So we're still in that 65% reduction. So it's a great trend. I'm not going to talk too much about it because I've literally like talked about it, but not as much as I did. I don't know if, I mean, obviously there's no correlation between, but we haven't done anything different. So that was the question I've been asked. We have not done anything different. Our strategy has aligned with everything that we've been doing the past years. This is just the nature of sometimes when crime occurs. So 2 incidents. One was on May 12th. It was an incident that occurred at 2 locations, but they're the same incident. So the 800 block of North State, and then the 600 block of, I can't think of the name, it's on our social media. But this incident, shots were fired, but the people are known to each other. So that case is still under investigation, so no updates there. And then we did have an incident on May 13th, the 100 block of South Commonwealth. So somebody calls and says they hear shots fired and also a car leaving the area. When the officers get into the area, they see a car matching the description. They eventually stop the car. Through that traffic stop, they recover a firearm. Upon their further investigation, we were able to determine that shots had been fired. So sometimes when people hear shots fired, we go back and we canvass, we look, we go back another time, but sometimes we can't find it. So then it's kind of like, is that fireworks? Is it not?
Right.
But in this instance, the detectives were able to determine that. So we made an arrest on a 19-year-old, several weapons violation charges. And so, again, when these incidents happen, there's, quick resolve. We like to do some, a quick turnaround so that the community knows. Sometimes, though, it takes us a little bit of time. So of those 11 incidents year to date, I think 4 or 5 arrests have been made. A couple are still under investigation, and some we've closed out because we have no further investigative leads. So that's kind of what happened in terms of crime. And again, all this information is available on our transparency site. Our crime stats are available on the transparency site. Monthly crime stats. Year to date, we are down in our Group A offenses, which is, again, that's the most significant type of crime. So there is a trend. During COVID, crime kind of, those 20 and 21 are these anomaly years. Like you can't compare them to anything, right? Because you've never had COVID before. So is there some correlation between what was going on in a society kind of, role, and does that lead to people, committing more offenses? I'm sure there's a study out there or somebody's going to do it. But so we usually compare our 2019 as kind of the marker to what's been going on these past few years, because 20 and 21, it was very, very strange.
Different. It was different. And I agree with you, too, because that's how I always looked at it, too. When it was the start of COVID, I had thought to myself, I was like, I don't want to make any assumptions, but I would not be surprised if there are more incidences just because of how people might have responded to.
And some of our crime went down during that time, and some of it went up. And our shots fired during that years, we did have a spike. So we're kind of going back to, I think, 2019 we had 31 shots fired incidents, and then 2020, 21 it kind of peaked, and then we started to level off. So. We'll see how this goes this year. But again, the purpose of bringing this information to the community is, one, so they have the right information. 2, they know where to find it themselves. So if you want to know everything, you want to know historical data, and most importantly, that the community knows that the police department we're on it. We're working on it. We understand it's a priority. We understand that, we want people to feel safe in our community. When these incidents happen, we do not shy away from talking about it and making sure that the questions that we have, that we answer it. So, and I'm looking at your YouTube thing here. I'm going to say hi to Brendan. So, hi, Brendan.
Hi, Brendan. Thanks for tuning in.
Yes, thank you. So I see that he's a fan, right? He's a fan of you guys, and thank you. It says that you went to Dunkin' Donuts for Cop on Top. So thank you, Brendan, for going there and supporting Special Olympics. We really, really appreciate it. So. I think that's it. It takes us right to 9:30. So I hope everyone has a great weekend. Is it supposed to rain tonight? Like
it's interesting. I think it was supposed to thunderstorm yesterday.
I know, and what is going on, right? So I don't know.
So you never know.
You never know.
So we'll have to wait and see. But so far so good. Beautiful outside.
Yeah. Yes.
to enjoy the day.
So I hope everyone has a great and weekend, safe weekend. And I will be back next Friday.
Awesome.
So thank you.
Thank you, of course, for always coming on here on Friday.
Thank
Always
you.
greatly appreciate and everything that you do as well.
Thank you.
Of course. Folks, we're going to take a quick time out. We will be back with more here on WRMN AM 1410. Steve is going to be arriving here pretty soon. In the meantime, of course, we'll continue on and talk more on WRMN AM 1410 here on a Friday. Stay tuned.